Hashem Yah, Bahashem Yahushua, Baruch Hashem Yahushua. Shalom, family. Today I wanted to talk about the discipline of YAH and basically the necessity of being disciplined by YAH. Okay, so the topic of this lesson is it is necessary to be disciplined by YAH. And we're going to go through a few things and kind of understand what's happening here when we talk about discipline, okay, in this case. Because, you know, we go through things, and a lot of times we don't understand why, or we ascribe things to the wrong reason as far as what may be happening to us or in our lives. There's a reason for it. It is prescribed for us, promised to us, and necessary for us. The things that we endure that might not seem pleasant, that may seem flat out wrong, that either people or circumstances bring our way. Okay, first let's define discipline. I'll kind of break this down a little bit so we can understand what's going on here. Discipline being defined as the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior. Now we can stop there for a second. So this is what we're going to be talking about here in the scriptures. The practice of training us. This is what YAH is doing. Training us to obey rules or a code of behavior. Okay. It goes on to say using punishment to correct disobedience. Now, we have to understand these are just two different parts of this definition, because we're not talking about disobedience as in sin, because when and I'll prove this when we're talking about disobedience, and we're talking about wrath coming. Okay, we don't want wrath coming. We don't want judgment coming. We want discipline. Okay, and you look at discipline, you can apply it to many parts of your life, whether you're trying to be disciplined, working out, eating a certain way, getting yourself together, having discipline of your mind, and things like that. But we're not talking about disobedience here. You're in a whole different realm when we're talking about disobedience to the commandments. Then you're falling under wrath. Then you're falling under judgment. You're not falling under discipline. Okay. And let's look at that. Colossians 3. Okay, we're going to talk about disobedience. Colossians 3, verse 5 and 6. It says, verse 5, therefore put to death your members which are on the earth, whoring, which basically is fornication, uncleanness, passion, evil desire, and greed of gain, which is idolatry. Because of these, the wrath of Elohim is coming upon the sons or the children of disobedience. So if you're falling under disobedience, you're in a whole nother ball game. Now we're talking about wrath and judgment and wages coming. And that's not what we're going to be discussing here, okay? We're not going to be discussing wrath and judgment and wages. Okay, we're going to talk about discipline. And like I said, it's important to understand what we're talking about. Discipline is not wrath. Discipline is not judgment. Okay? Understand that. Discipline is not wrath and it's not judgment. Okay, now we're going to go to Hebrews 12, and we're going to kind of comb through some of these scriptures here, verses 5 through 11, okay? And we'll kind of look at what's being said here. Verse 5, and you have forgotten the appeal which speaks to you as sons. My son, do not despise the discipline of Yahuwah, nor faint when you are reproved by him. For whom Yahuwah loves, he disciplines and flogs every son whom he receives. If you endure discipline, Elohim is treating you as sons. For what son is there whom the father does not discipline? But if you are without discipline, of which all have become sharers, then you are illegitimate and not sons. Moreover, we indeed are fathers of our flesh, discipline us, and we paid them respect. Should we not much rather be subject to the Father of spirits and live? For they indeed discipline us for a few days, as seemed best to them, but he does it for our profit, so that we might share his apartness. And indeed, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but grievous. But afterward it yields a peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. Okay? Now, again, we're talking about being trained. We can go back up to the definition. We're talking about the practice of training people. Okay? To obey rules or code of conduct. So we're being trained here. This is not wrath. You're not righteousness is not going to be produced from wrath. You're just going to be dealt with. Okay. But if you think of discipline like a father discipline you, right? Like my father would make me cut the grass, help when he was building things, and it seemed grievous, but it teaches you lessons about life, lessons about how to be responsible, things of that nature. You go through things that may not seem or feel good at the time. And there's so many examples of being disciplined or trained, okay, which is a synonym to what we're talking about here. So when things happen to us, we are being disciplined. Excuse me, we are being trained. So how does YAH do this? What does he use to discipline us with? What do we get flogged with? Well, the best way to put it is we are flogged with life. We are disciplined with the events of life. And that nothing happens by chance, okay? Whether you have financial troubles, whether you have trouble in your body, whether you have difficulty at work, whether there's some other obstacle that seems to be always getting your way, that you have to pray about, that you have to trust YAH about. And this is important for us to build up that practice of trusting YAH, of reading the scriptures, of searching the scriptures for answers. Because a lot of times people won't even really dig deep into the Bible or seriously pray unless something's going on that doesn't feel good or doesn't seem right. You're trying to get help. You're trying to be delivered from something. Something's happening in your life that you need help with. You're trying to understand because you didn't do anything to deserve it, or it doesn't seem to be fair, right? Now, you understand, you're being disciplined. You are being disciplined. You believe YAH, you trust YAH, you serve him, you have decided and made a choice to obey what the scriptures teach you. And then all these things are happening that don't seem fair, and you're looking at other people and they seem to be skating through life. You are being disciplined. That's the best way to put it. That's why I say in here, hey, don't faint when you are reproved by him. And we'll get into being reproved. It's important. For whom Yahuwah loves, he disciplines. This is just telling us he's doing it because he loves you. Again, this is not wrath. It's going to yield peaceable fruit of righteousness. There's a reason, okay? Proverbs 3:11 and 12. It says, "My son, do not despise the discipline of Yahuwah, and do not loathe his reproof. For whom Yahuwah loves, he reproves, as a father the son who he delights in." So obviously he's delighting. Listen, you're not going to be disciplined if YAH is not delighting in you. You have to be a son first to be disciplined by him, as we first saw when we first started reading in Hebrews. It says here he's treating you as sons when he disciplines you. And now it says here he's disciplining you because he's delighting in you. Now he's not delighting in you, you're disobeying him. So we have to look at the fact we're not talking about sinning and being wicked. We're talking about needing to learn something. You need to learn patience. You need to learn and have more faith. You need to learn to trust more. You need to learn to read more. You need to learn to pray more. Well, the way this happens is you get discipline into it. Okay? Because YAH delights in you, so he wants to improve you. If we look at the definition of reprove, it means reprimand or censure. So you get reprimanded. How do you get reprimanded? Well, again, we're not talking about living in sin or wickedness. If something happens and the first thing you think of is some earthly solution, you will be reprimanded. The Ruach or Most High Yah through the Spirit will tell you, you come to me first, not man. Okay? If you pray and you start worrying about something, you're going to get reproved. Why? Because if you're praying and worrying, then you are counterproductive to what you're trying to do. If we pray, we're supposed to set aside worrying and understand that Yah is going to come through and deliver us. If we falter and then start getting scared and worried about the situation, we will be reproved by Yah himself to say, oh, you're going to trust me or not? Again, this is a rebuke, right? Now, again, we're talking about training here. So the things that we are going through, we are being trained. So it is necessary. You have to look at it like this. It's necessary for Most High Yah to do this. This is something he promised he would do, so that we can be trained by it. so that we can be improved, so that we can be made better. And people don't see that. They don't seem to understand that, because they're thinking in an earthly way. How am I going to fix this? Why is this happening? And it's really important that you understand there's a reason why it's happening. Okay? And let's keep going to 1 Thessalonians 5, because 1 Thessalonians 5 is telling us how to handle this when we are being disciplined. I mean, this is why these scriptures are here, to teach us. It says here, 1 Thessalonians 5, I'm going to just start at 16, go through like 22. 16 says, rejoice always, pray without ceasing, in all circumstances give thanks, for this is the desire of Elohim and Messiah Yeshua for you. So all the circumstances that we're going through, we got to find a way to thank Yah for it. If we don't thank Yah for it, we're not responding correctly to the discipline. So it's telling us in all circumstances to give thanks. So it's you should know by this that all the circumstances would not seem worthy of giving thanks. You'll be going through something that you'll be tempted to complain about. And this is when Yahuwah will come to you and reprove you and rebuke you, so that you will not complain, so that you will understand why this is happening, and that the Most High Yah is going to change it for you. Psalm 66 teaches us how he brings us into the net and causes men to ride over our head, and does all these things to us to try us, to discipline us, okay, to make us better. So it says here, in all circumstances give thanks, don't quench the spirit, don't despise prophecies. So it teaches us, keep back from every form of wickedness. So when you're going through this discipline, these things you have to keep in mind. Because yes, the devil will try to lead you into wickedness if you're going through hard times. Do something illegal or against what the scriptures teach us in order to get over or make your life easier. Yeah, you'd be tempted to do those things, but that's why we have to pray without ceasing. That's why we have to give thanks in all these circumstances, understand where they're coming from. Because you often hear that Yah doesn't make any mistakes. It's true, because everything that happens is planned. Everything that happens in your life, he is involved in. And some people don't understand that. And I've talked about it before, but this is totally controlled, regardless of what it looks like. That Yah himself is allowed and at times actually prescribed this and sent this to you to discipline you so that you can produce righteousness. This is what the scriptures are plainly telling us. Now, I told you, at least Colossians 3, that there's a difference between discipline and wrath, and discipline and judgment. Now, 1 Peter 4, which we are going to look at next, I'm going to prove it to you again with 1 Peter 4, verses 12 through 14, and then we'll look at 15, which will prove the whole point here. 12 through 14 teaches us, beloved ones, do not be surprised at the fiery trial which is coming upon you, to try you as though some unusual matter has befallen you. But as you share Messiah's sufferings, rejoice, in order that you might rejoice exultantly at the time the revelation of his esteem. If you are reproached for the name Messiah, you are blessed, because the spirit of esteem and Elohim rests upon you. On their part he is blasphemed, but on your part he is praised. So when things come upon us, which they will, there are a special set a lot of times of hardships that come upon you just believing in Yahushua. But when these things happen to us, again, for our discipline to produce righteousness, the scriptures teach us to rejoice. You are not going through something hard because it's wrath. There needs to be an understanding there. Yah himself, if you look at the story of Job, Yah himself disciplined Job. He wasn't doing anything wrong when all these things were brought upon him. But it was for a reason, for him to totally understand who Yahuwah was, and that he has created all things, and all things are in his hand. And what he takes, he can restore. He can give you more than he took away. He can change situations. He can do anything he wants to do in our lives. So this is why we need to understand these things and other things. Believe me, there's a lot of hurt people out here who have been wronged. Trusting YAH and in somebody, a lot of times it's family or somebody else or some circumstance happens, and it's something that you think about often. It brings hurt feelings or certain type of you feel a certain type of way. But at the end of it, you have to understand that it was part of your discipline training. It was part of something you had to endure, and you had to come out the other side of this. And if you're in that now, if you're struggling with that now, understand that it's necessary, and totally give it over to the Most High YAH and trust Him for it. Because regardless of how long it seems, how unfair it seems, how hard it seems, it is something that YAH is doing because He delights in you. Okay? And on the surface, it may be hard to understand, but by and by you will, as He brings you through these different things, and then He shows you the blessedness of what you went through, and He restores and fixes the situation. And even if it's just fixing your heart so you won't worry about certain things, because He doesn't want us running around here worried about anything, really. And He teaches us this, but we have to be disciplined and trained to get there, right? Okay. Let's keep going in 1 Peter 4 verse 15. This is showing us the difference between discipline and wrath. Now, the first one was just discipline and things you go through to produce righteousness. But 15, it says, do not let any of you suffer as a murderer or thief or doer of evil or as a meddler. Now, don't suffer for that, because now we're on the wrath side of things. Now we're on the judgment side of things, because you're doing evil and then things are befalling you. Well, now you know why it's befalling you, and it's not going to produce righteousness. Only thing it's going to produce is righteous judgment from YAH, but no righteousness out of you, and He's not delighting in you. That's not where you want to be, doing evil and wickedness, and when something happens, well, you're just getting what the wages of sin is, right? This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about disciplining someone who is trusting YAH, and the hardships that come and the things that happen to you, and it seems sometimes like the walls are falling in on you, but there's a reason for that. Okay, let's wrap this up with James 1:2-4. It says, my brothers, count it all joy when you fall into various trials. It's repeating really what 1 Peter said. Knowing that the proving of your belief works endurance or patience. Again, it's the fruit of the Spirit. This is righteousness being produced. That the various trials and the hardships you're going through are going to produce something in you. Not because you've done anything wrong, because you're being disciplined and trained, okay? And it says because you're being treated as sons, as children. Let endurance have a perfect work, so that you be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. Very important that all the things you're going through right now that don't seem to end have a purpose. You're going through this so that you can be made better. You're going through this so that you can produce righteousness. You're going through this so you can learn, so you can grow, because YAH loves you, and He is going to bring about in you the things He desires to see. So again, hopefully this has helped somebody. You need to study the Word for yourselves, especially 1 Peter is a good book to look at if you're going through something. James, first chapter, is good to understand why this is happening and what the purpose of it is. Okay, because we all go through things, but you always come out and you're always blessed because of it. We just need to be able to look back on those things that YAH has already done for us and continue to grow and trust and learn. Okay, so hopefully this will encourage you, and you can read the scriptures for yourself and continue to grow and learn and come into that knowledge that we all need to come into. Hallelujah. And may YAH add a blessing to His word.